So recent data once again proves the historic trend that Republicans are much more likely to fall for fake news than Democrats. Surprised? Probably not. But intrigued? Well, in that case, click that like and subscribe and enjoy the video. All right, folks, so this is kind of a big deal, but it's not exactly surprising. It's not exactly novel, so we're probably not going to spend that much time on it. Recent polling from YouGov, which is a highly reputable source, proves once again the historic trend, a trend that's existed for decades, that conservatives, that Republicans are much more susceptible to mis- and disinformation than liberals, progressives, and Democrats. Simply the case. So this article, it goes into vivid detail. Basically what they did is they gave 1,500 U.S. adult respondents, which is a pretty robust sample size, a smattering of headlines, real headlines, fake headlines, and basically put them to the test. Which ones are real? Which ones are fake? And not that Democrats scored perfectly. They didn't, because Democrats are, to some extent, susceptible to mis- and disinformation too, because we're only human. But the fact of the matter is the results consistently show that Republicans were much less likely to be able to correctly identify the real headline from the fake headline. So according to the top line results, younger adults perform worse than older adults, Republicans perform worse than Democrats, and people who get their news from social media perform worse than those who don't, right? So your uncle who gets his conservative leanings from Facebook memes, not exactly a reliable source. Now, when I say that Republicans are more susceptible to Democrats or to disinformation and misinformation than Democrats, this is what I mean. Democrats and independents, according to YouGov, perform similarly. 1/3 of Democrats, so about 33%, and 28% of independents are in the highest scoring group in terms of those who can correctly identify fake news from real news, compared to 14 Republicans. That is stark. That means independents are twice as likely to correctly identify real news and fake news than Republicans. And again, this information or the metrics break down by headline. They go into all sorts of things here. But this is scary, right? Because whether you like it or not, the Republican Party is still a major force in contemporary politics. They're one of two major political parties. Now, they're not in the majority, but they also are advantaged in so many ways that we've discussed on this channel. Republicans are able to punch above their weight class even though their policies are really unpopular and even though they're outnumbered by the left and left-leaning moderates. So the fact that one group is markedly, dangerously more susceptible to fake news, and their leaders exploit that. So you look at Donald Trump, a pathological liar, malignant narcissist, and many of his Trumpian counterparts, not just Trump, right? We see this like disinformation and propensity towards it pervade the Republican Party. Most Republican officials, most Republican members of the Republican Congress, Kevin McCarthy, Mitch McConnell, Ted Cruz, Lindsey Graham, others like them, particularly Trump sycophants, Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, all the others, they are purveyors of mis- and disinformation. That's why radical, stupid conspiracy theories like QAnon, which purports that the Democratic Party is literally a satanic cabal of blood-drinking, child predators, it's startlingly popular among Republican voters. So this is important. I don't expect this to change anytime soon. And again, it's not to say the Democratic voters are immune from fake news or not susceptible at all to mis- or disinformation. But this is not a both sides issue, not in the way that enlightened centrists and those who are inclined to give false equivalences like to pretend it is. The fact of the matter is that in an age of social media and mis- and disinformation, I mean, it's all over the internet, right? It's, metaphorical Pandora's box and genie in the bottle, whatever metaphor analogy you want, you can't get it back in. It's everywhere. Information, misinformation, disinformation are everywhere. And so I think it's important to note that of the two major political wings and political parties, the right, conservatives, Republicans, are much more vulnerable to this, which might explain those many awkward encounters that you have at the Thanksgiving dinner table. Food for thought.